There we are. And hello, my divine, infinite human beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And welcome to the Infinite Human Talk Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Monroy. Today we have a fascinating topic, and the topic is you. You. Yes, you. You are a universe, and change your story and you will change the world. And that's the title of this. And I can't tell you what a powerful topic this is. And please don't in any way diminish the power of this topic, which is you. All right. Because with everything that's going on out there, with the wars and the rumors of wars and all the fear and trauma that's being dispersed along all the lines, the media lines, whether it's, the traditional media, the social media, the alternative, which is really not even alternative anymore. All that there's a lot of stuff going on out there. It's all designed to distract you, to pull your attention externally outside of yourself, and to make you feel small, insignificant, helpless as these superpowers battle over the planet, as this arm of the new world order reaches into your pocketbook and takes all the digital currencies, while the deep state and the whatever and the politics and the Trump versus this care. I mean, it's just crazy right now. It's crazy out there. I know. And I think you all know it's crazy. And the craziness is crazy. It's insanity. It's the insanity of humanity just on steroids. I think that's the best way to explain it, because it's always been crazy. It's just that we have not been aware of it. Many of us have, but most people haven't. And now this craziness, this internal war within is coming out, is bleeding out. It can no longer be contained. It can no longer stay in the shadows. It's coming out for all of us to see. Now, the good thing is, I think most people are realizing, and the most important thing you need to realize about all of this is how broken, inverted, perverted the planet is. And I think most everybody that's attuning into me, to my frequency, into my voice, knows that. Now, the bad thing, well, where we live in the 3D world of duality, I don't live there. We're moving away from that. That's what this whole changing your story, leaving behind the stories is about. But in the 3D reality, where these inverted, perverted mind control programs have been created, and every lifetime reinforced, and every day reinforced by everything external to you, what you want to know is that it's all been created to contain the infiniteness of your expansive, multidimensional consciousness. It's all been created for that purpose. So what we want to do is, once we see that there's a problem, we don't want to feed it. We don't want to, get into the gossip of it. We don't, oh, did you hear? And did you, oh no, and this, and then let it feed us. Let us continue to push those buttons of fear, of feeling victimized, of anger, of grief, of sorrow, and of seeing the world that we once, as children, we loved. We thought it was a wonderful place to live. Yeah, of course we did. It was all we knew. Kind of like a child who was an abusive parent. You still love your parent, even though they come home and kick you every night, but because that's all you know, that's all we've known. So we have to let all of that go and try not to get caught up in the emotions of it, in the trauma of it, in the fear and the sorrow, all that stuff playing out, okay? Because it's continuing to, to play those chords of that broken song, that broken record, and that's what it's all designed to do. It's continuously trying to draw you into it. And if you're not aware, I've been pounding this into you. And I think most of you are aware pretty much now that there are, whatever you call them, two horses, okay? The lame old nag that a lot of people want to stay on just because they know where it's going and it's comfortable. Or, the warm blood, beautiful, whatever, Frisian horse, okay? The old timelines or the new timelines, the Fibonacci spiral of death that is descending. It's actually, where it's going, but it's going down even worse, believe it or not. If it can get worse, it can. And the other one is ascending into the higher dimensions. So I know it sounds beautiful, doesn't it? It sounds like, oh, I want to ascend. I don't want to go down into the phantom realms. I want to ascend. But do you really? Okay. And I'll be perfectly honest. For those of us that are choosing the ascension path, we are in uncharted waters right now. Actually, they're really not, because we're being asked to remember the song of our soul, to remember our future, to remember a time when we lived without time, when we lived in no time, when we lived beyond the limitations of even this time matrix, that infinite, expansive, infinite. That's it. No limitations aspect of ourself that is still there, that still exists. We left wherever it is, it's inside of us. So that is what we're being asked to hold, to tune into, to reconnect with, because that is where the true power is, that infiniteness of us. And that is where no time exists, and we can actually flash into it and flash out, flash into it, flash out. And yeah, I just want to say something too, because I'm seeing social media. Okay, social media is going crazy right now, and I'm seeing a lot of people. Of course, we know The Secret, and there's someone else. Someone told me to look at this older woman, and she's making, a huge success by talking about manifesting, and we don't know how to manifest, and teaching manifestation, just like The Secret. And you know what, guys, you do know how to manifest. You really do, and you're great at it. The only thing is your programs, which are 90%, because subconscious is 90%, is running so much of your life that you are manifesting everything. It's just that you're not aware, which is why they call it subconscious, because when you become completely aware, you don't have a subconscious, your total consciousness. So then you also are holding the frequency, because you are in alignment with infinite God source. And then you flash in and you flash out. And at that point, when you are reconnected with your 12 strands of DNA, when you are, accessing your plasma and your light bodies, and all your bodies, all of you, let's just say all of you, then you got that power. Because right now you're running on just like 2 or 3 cylinders, and that's why it takes, and thank God. Because just think, if you don't clear yourself out first of all that baggage, and you subconsciously, and how many times you said, God, I hate her, I wish she would die, I mean, what if that really happened instantaneously? Which is why you don't have the power, which is why you don't hold the frequency. And the frequencies, the higher frequencies, are love, truth. Truth is a frequency, all right? And again, on the social media, I see people babbling on and on about, well, that's your truth. This is my truth. You have your opinion. I have my opinion. He has his opinion. We're all, we're all right, And you know what? Truth is a frequency. Yes, there is truth, beauty, love, God, godliness, infiniteness. It's a frequency. And in the higher dimensions, it's all that exists. Truth, love, beauty. That's it. You don't question. You don't have opinions. You just know. And it's not a conflicting, the whole duality is to experience that, to have the dark and the light, to have different opinions, to alchemize the dark and the light, which is what we're in the process of doing right now, believe it or not. And it's challenging, and it takes really highly encrypted people to be able to chart the course and hold the course to true north and tune into that higher frequency and hold it. You don't speak it, you don't convince people of it, you don't, you know, just the truth, all that evangelistic stuff is just lost in ego and duality. When you hold the frequency of truth, it comes out in your voice. It's just something that people that are longing for it, they crave. They want to be in that frequency, and you don't even have to open your mouth. You just transmit it. Which brings me to another topic on this very timely conversation. We're going to get a little bit more into you leaving the stories behind and how empowering that is. But I do want to say, heads up, okay? So we're in beautiful time because the consciousness, the energy, the positive is the energy. It's really, the frequencies are just streaming into this planet. That's why we're seeing the craziness playing itself out. And as I've said many times, this is a 9-year, okay? Okay, 2025, right? 9, finishing up. And we're in precisely in the middle of it. So we're in the height of the craziness, and we're seeing all these scripts that have to play out. Even, and not to get worried, it's not going to happen, but the tail end of the whole Armageddon script that was set up. And actually, I participated in a timeline change that occurred way before the year 2000 to end that, so that wouldn't play itself out full blown. But it's playing itself out. That's okay. It's fizzling out. So not to worry. That's what we're seeing here with the whole politics and the world war scares and all that. It's a fizzle as that script comes to completion, and so many others. And a lot of this new world order technology stuff is actually fizzling out for those of us that are ascending into the higher dimensions, because that will no longer be part of our reality. We may have these things that exist, we may have a certain remnants of this order, whether it doesn't matter whether it's artificial technology or digital currency, all that stuff, but that will not have the bite, the power, the dark agendas attached to it, and that will just eventually fizzle out as our higher divine technology. Okay, and the Tartarian technology and all this technology I've been talking about for the past almost 2 years will start to kick in more and more, okay, for us that are ascending. And as we ascend to each level, each platform on the Ascension Earths, okay, and there's many of them. We're not just talking about Tara and Gaia. That's actually that will get on board later, but that's we're talking about the Aurora Earths. We're talking about the different levels of that. So, but anyway, not to get too confused with all the chaotic science technical stuff, but Earth's ascending. Earth is ascending, but the net Earth is not. Okay, so that is playing itself out big time right now. Okay, we're seeing desperation because that part is sliding down into phantom. How much depends on us, really, and that's part of my job. I think it's part of all. We all feel that. We feel kind of, perhaps it's a little bit of urgency going on right now. It's kind of I wrote about it in my newsletter on my website, infinitehuman.com. What used to be a niggle, niggle, a nudge, whatever that word niggle, but what used to be like a little nudge is becoming like a push, almost a shove, a shove to really get out there and start being in the world, because many of us have had to be hermits. We've had to hide. We've been bullied. We've been ridiculed. We've been killed, stoned, drowned, burnt, lifetime after lifetime. And it's very traumatic for us to get out there. And it's getting increasingly more and more difficult too. But it's important because as we get out there, as we shift, as we hold these higher frequencies, as our voice, as our energy as our bright flowers, and we talked about that last week, as our bright flowers, as our plasma energy, as our true light spreads, it's a beautiful thing, and it's contagious. It's a good contagious, because people pick it up. It helps to heal them. It helps to awaken them. It helps them just to be in these higher frequencies. And we are holding the higher frequencies that are streaming in from the plasma, the suns, and also from the Nomices, and from the photon belt, and from everywhere, the codes that are coming through our suns. It's amazing. So that's all the good stuff. But because it's the end of the end. I mean, we're talking about, this is the last year, and next year's new beginning. But they're trying to collect, they're trying to like pull into their little net, like the fishermen, when they spread their nets out in the sea, and then they close it up with their little fishies that are caught in, and then they hoist it into the boat. I don't know if you've ever. I live in Sicily, and I actually was in love with the fishermen many years ago and went fishing. Not as romantic as I thought, but you see that all the time here. The fishermen, they still fish with nets. It's amazing. So what are we talking about? A net, right? World Wide Web, the internet. All right. So now I want you to be aware, not to scare you, not to frighten you, but I'm going to say it, because every time I say it, I get, muzzled. And we talked about it on the last show about dark flowering. And we did a second part of bright flowering, but the dark flowering was how they are now using the internet to spread the dark flowering infliction, to have cyber attacks. If you're not into the dark flowering, it doesn't. That's just one term. It's also just in terms of of contaminating you, of running a phantom encryption. And it's very interesting, because I've watched the internet for years, and there's really no one. I've had a few guests on, and I haven't had them back on, a lot of them, but there's stuff running out there, and I'm watching people that I've watched for years who have. And I was first really, I'm not going to mention any names, because that's not fair, but I will say, wow, they said stuff that really, excited me. You are God, you are all powerful. They said all the right stuff. So I started following them and tuning into them and listening to them for a long time. This is about 10 years ago. And then I started seeing, where they were going, because I saw how they got off track. And it might have been their own story. I think a lot of people don't realize it when they're channeling, when they're tuning in, when they're looking at teachings. One of them was following Ra, who actually she lived in Kentucky, in the town that we still have a home there. Who channeled the Ra and wrote the Ra books and everything. This is all corrupted information, and not that I'm saying that that Ascension is perfect. She's got her own stories and stuff, but a lot of the information that has come through is, I think, very, very high frequency. If you listen, especially to her earlier stuff, if you can get some of those videos, I always find them very, very activating, very inspiring, but nobody's perfect. So you need to kind of really use right now, very much so, your discernment, because what's happening is a lot of people are coming to the forefront. They're being positioned on social media almost as superstars, and they're skyrocketing up. And their numbers are soaring, and people are, hypnotized, like the Piper, and they're following them, and they're wanting to join their communities, buy into their communities, which I don't recommend any community at this point. The earth is not, new earth communities are not ready yet for that. So I was passionate about buying some land and finding one, but I was very much shown that it's not the time for that. And we are being herded onto cyberspace, because that's how we have all been connecting with each other. And it's been a very beautiful thing, especially since the planned pandemic. Okay. That the whole point, along with the other stuff, was to get us all looking onto the screen, into the camera, onto the screen for our connections. And the thing that's been good about it is many of us, the light workers, the Aquashi, whatever you want to call us, the indigos, we have all been holding the grids in many different places. So we've been dispersed in the planet, sometimes feeling like the lighthouse, alone, the only light out there, and all of a sudden when the internet came and Facebook and all these other social medias, we could see each other, and it was wonderful. Heads up, guys. That has all been a plan. And now the weapons, the real frequency wars, the real wars are happening now, because what they're doing is they're getting people out there, they're putting them in the forefront, and they're getting people who are just waking up, who are like, what's going on? I'm confused. What's, what is really, what's happening? This is bad. This is good. What should I believe? And I've had a lot of people to ask me that, send me questions, ask me in person, send me emails. I'm so confused now. There's so much information. There's too much information out there. And there is. That's the point. That's what they've done now. They flooded you with information, so you're confused. And now I'll tell you the second part of this, okay? And I'll let you decide. But for me personally, I've had my Facebook, Elizabeth Monroy, terminated permanently. I mean, absolutely permanently. They will not let me on. They've learned so much now about us. They know our faces. They know all the different moves. It used to be you could get in the back door. I still have a presence there, but not Elizabeth Monroy, but it's very limited because they want you on your phone. Okay. And so I'm locked out of that completely, which was kind of difficult, but it's, hey, that's how it is. My talk show, okay? This talk show I began. If you're listening to me, it's a miracle. It's a miracle if you can even hear me. I've been doing it for almost a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And I was on Voice America, and then Voice America went pretty much out of business. They're almost like non-existent. So I was approached by Bold and Brave, and, I was really excited because I said, I need a platform that's going to be around, because, my YouTube channel had been flagged during, the whole scandemic. When I got out there, my YouTube channel was like taken off, my videos were being taken down. My Facebook, again, was taken up. I mean, it was just like bar, and it's usually because I anticipated the next move, and I like to give people a heads up. Watch out for this, because if you're prepared, I think so many people, when we said, oh, guess what's happening? There's these towers going up everywhere. High five, OG, as each country shuts down. Oh, watch out for the jibby jabby juice, and then, so a lot of people really, that was very useful, because they were confused, they were isolated, they were locked down, they were bewildered, and there was only one predominant voice at that time, really, especially here in Italy, the television, vision. So that's all the narrative they heard. So we got ourselves heard, kind of as an alternative. Now a lot of that alternative is being used against us, with the infiltrated conspiracy, woke and Q, and all this stuff that's just gotten outrageous. But that's going on, while I would like to call them the Tothian, factions that are masters at using the truth to tell lies. In fact, they were the ones that recreated the whole Bible. They took all the emerald, records, and all the ancient manuscripts that they stole from all the indigenous peoples and the Krystic tribes around the planet. And then, during the Nicene Council in, I think, 325 AD, they took all this truth. So oh yeah, paradise, oh heaven, oh ascension, oh yes, so we love to hear those words because our soul was hungry for them. But then they used it to tell lies like, I'm going to save you, this is going to save you. So pay attention now, because they're doing the same thing, really nothing new. So if you see people that are talking but they're wanting to sell you, well, okay, there's nothing wrong with charging for your time. I mean, everyone has a job, everyone has special skills, and that's fine. But you can kind of get a sense of if you really dig deep into the history of these people. I'm just thinking of two guys, especially. They have kind of dark and murky, and of course, they'll say, "Oh no, they're just manufactured lies against me and everything." But just sense the encryption, sense how you feel in their presence or when you walk away. Is it like you're hearing this beautiful, melody, this beautiful song, but are there a few off notes? I usually describe it that way. And everyone has some off notes because we're none of us are 12-stranded Krystic avatars, no, not since Yeshua, Melchizedek, Sananda Melchizedek walked the earth. We haven't had that. We're getting there. And I'm not saying to judge them, but just don't give your power over. Okay. It's now, and that's why I like the talk show format, because I'm talking, I'm thinking, I'm expressing, downloads that I get. And my hope is and always has been that it sparks you to think for yourself, to think through. I spend so much time thinking, a lot of time alone, thinking thoughts through. And then, of course, feeling, getting and learning. That's what we're doing. We're learning how we assimilate information, and we're bringing our heads and our hearts together, because we have to discern. We can't just be, heart, love and light and clueless, oh, I love you. Sorry. Yes, come. Yes, I love you. Let me share everything with you, my body, my energy. I think most everybody is getting beyond that because they've just had such bad experiences, and myself included. So that's part of maturing, spiritually maturing, boundaries, learning who can come in, who can't. And I'll tell you another secret. As we leave behind the 3D stories, which is what this whole thing is really about, and we'll get into that now. 3D is linear. 3D is dualistic. 3D is, the good, the bad. And 3D is, I guess you could even say it's codependent. And it really is, because we come together, in family units, dysfunctional family units. I live in Sicily, so I talk about family dysfunctional units. But we come together, and we're used to that. It's comforting. It's comforting for us to have a physical body next to us, that we can hold on to, that we can make love with, in terms of romantic, that we can, cuddle and nurse and raise and feed and do the whole mother father thing, to see the people's faces, and to be part of their lives, and to gather together, and it's a beautiful experience, especially if it's done correctly. But like many of us are realizing, our hologram, our divine hologram, has been hacked into, with the intention of creating misery to feed the parasitic entities, the pollution. I think most people are aware of that, and they're aware now, as you look outside of ourselves and you see greed, you see war, you see misogyny, against women, unbelievable, the suppression of the eternal mother and divine feminine. That's all part of the 3D that we're leaving behind. So, yes, there's some beautiful things about, you being like, you know, when I first started this journey so many years ago, back in the 90s, and I met my spiritual teacher, I was like, oh, a spiritual teacher will tell me what to do. And yeah. I learned a lot. And so when I was at that period, isn't it funny how much interference this never happens. All this interference while I'm doing my show. But anyway, when I was in that period, I just thought transmutation was, this is going to be wonderful because me, my mommy, my daddy, my brothers, my dogs, and of course, Peter, my husband, will all live forever, will be eternally youthful, and, it'll just be great. And of course, it's not like that. Thy will, because it's a whole different ball of wax, the higher dimensions. It is beautiful. It is blissful. It is unifying, but it's different. It's a different spin ratio. It's a different frequency. So a lot of what we're attached to in the physical, in the external world, is sloughing off. And that I know for myself, I've experienced a lot of purging of fear. So I know a lot of you are going through some tough times right now physically with the influx of high frequencies, but also there's a lot of fear because we're chartering, as I begin, unknown waters, okay? New territory. It's a new way of being where perhaps we're not as close, many of us, and of course a lot of this happened in the 20s, the roaring 20s, I call it, when of course we were locked down, so many of us found ourselves alone, really isolated, and of course our only friends was the screen. On the screen, all our soul tribes were, many people, of course, we've never met. I traveled and I got to meet a lot of you in the physical. That was important to me. But, there are our screen friends. And, that's nice. And perhaps part of that in the highest level was to prepare us for being non-corporeal or going what is often referred to going vertical rather than horizontal to the people around us, to go higher, to go into the higher dimensions and to communicate. Right now it's in sacred cyberspace. I like to call it sacred cyberspace because I think you should, when you're listening to me, when you're on these social medias, you should always be like doing some cleansing, some protecting of yourself and your devices, whether it's running rainbow frequencies, doing Maharic shields, using the D12 current, which is now clean, whatever you do for yourself, but like I said, it's encrypted. There's a phantom attachments to it because everyone's on there. So do your own cleansing, and but it was a stepping stone, I think, to start going vertical, with getting information and sharing it and having relationships that weren't like so physically near you. Okay. And it's kind of scary and it's difficult for me because a lot of my relationships are vertical. They're in the higher dimensions. And of course, my twin soul, Peter, is there, on the highest emanation of our future Earth, Eartha, of the, in the Arias, Ascension Earth. And we work together. But, sometimes when you look around or you feel your frequencies aren't as high, and that happens a lot, you're like, well, it's an empty room, or, I'm in an empty space. There's no one here. There's nothing here. There's no. Old story. For me, that's an old story. Look, go higher, raise your frequency. So as you release these old stories, and one of the most important things that is really difficult to do, but it can be kind of fun. Actually, I've been doing it for a long time with students because If you know anything about me, I come from a family of very accomplished, psychotherapists. My father was a minister. He wrote many books, and he started, went out to California during the human potential movement and learned all kinds of things. At this time, we'll think, oh, that's old hat. But during the '60s, it was really pioneering work. Of course, Young, I don't think Young has done so much for us, with talking about the dark side, the shadow self, and Joseph Campbell with his hero's journey. And of course, so I use a lot of that and I have a master's in mental health counseling, but, coming from growing up in group therapy, family therapy, and went all over the world to retreats and workshops with the pioneers of the time, Virginia Satir, family therapy, Gestalt, Fritz Perls, transactional analysis, Eric Erickson, all the big names back in that time. And that was the beginning of the human potential movement. I always, there's always a lot of good in things, and there's also the darkness. So this is duality, so I like to blend the two and find the highest good. But my point being is that I always found that therapy could be really, really long, and you could really start liking your problem. And I grew up where some my parents had clients their entire life, because I just loved my parents, and my parents saved a lot of people's lives, took guns out of their hands, saves people's marriages, and I got to hear that at their funeral. But I decided to have fun with it because I'm very creative. I'm an artist, I'm a filmmaker, and so when I started my New Consciousness Renaissance Film School in Florence, Italy, the new Renaissance, I would take people on the journey of the hero through the Uffizi, some of the most beautiful museums in the world, and have them choose pieces of art that spoke to them, that symbolized to them their their I forgot to turn on the comments. Anybody's there? Okay, sorry. That symbolized, where they were at, their how they are at the beginning of their journey. And if no one knows Joseph Campbell, he helped George Lucas write Star Wars, with the whole Luke Skywalker, the hero at the beginning of his journey, full of fears, doubts, aspirations, the dark and the light embodied in both aspects of him, kind of pitted against each other. And then the mentor self, that part of yourself that's wise, that knows, that can lead you and comfort you, that eternal mother and eternal father that can nurture and care for the scared child inside of you. And then if they would find a piece of art that would symbolize their shadow self. And it was always so powerful. I mean, it was like they hated to point it out, and as soon as they pointed it out, it was like the only piece in the whole huge Uffizi museum, you know, and it held so much symbolism for them. And then the hero at the end of the journey, the ascended hero, the heroic self who's learned its lessons. So I love that. And I find it's very, very helpful to just help you to become aware of the stories, the old stories, the old patterns. And I promise you, once you become aware of them, you will realize lifetime after lifetime. And since there is no time, and I think we started out talking, maybe I didn't, but it's in my newsletter. There is no time. Time's an illusion. But when we enter the physical, when we enter the time matrix, we agree to buy a ticket to the show, the beginning, middle, and end, this hero's journey. We agree to participate in this illusion of time because it's a way of self-exploration. And that's what the infinite part of ourself wanted, is to explore itself. So it's a beautiful, beautiful way of exploring ourselves, except, and as many of us are becoming painfully aware, we've been hacked into, and we've been given overlays, and we've been fed mind control programs, and we've been had trauma. We've been traumatized to create these schisms in fractal aspects of our soul, fragments of our soul, which we call reincarnation. But because there's no time, they're actually parts of ourselves that are still happening all around us. Especially when you travel, sometimes you meet your other self. Like when I go up to the temples in ancient temples and Segestas, like, oh, there I am dancing with the flowers in my hair, and oh no, there's one of those sacrifices again. Oh God. But it's part of that is we are doing right now. We are integrating all that, and I've noticed that we're all kind of. I guess we would, when we look back on this, we put ourselves in the future. We're kind of like white knuckling it because it's all happening so fast. Because we're being the first wave of volunteers. We're the leaders, we're the founders, we're the co-creators, we're the visionaries of the new earth, and we're being flooded with all these high frequencies very, very fast because, like I said, things are stepping up. When the parasites try to hang on more, we're instructed to get to beef up our game, to raise our frequencies. And so that's what we're seeing now, but there's not a lot of support for this. And so, okay, two things. One, if you know me, I took about 3 months off in the winter and just went deep into the jungles of the Yucatan and really was kind of disconnected from the internet. It was wonderful. Then I really needed to get back on it big time, and I restarted this talk show, and I really started doing a whole bunch of stuff on the internet because I felt like I needed to flood it with just bright flowering, with high frequencies, with lots of love. And even on my post right now, you'll just see me and Kiki. I'm wandering around in pink, and we're wearing tutus, and we're going to ancient Tartarian places and having 5-star Dolce Vita kind of lifestyles here in Sicily, and just showing how beautiful life can be, because it is challenging right now. I'm not not spiritually bypassing, because I've had my own challenges, but when I can, try to flood the internet with that, to kind of counterbalance a lot of what we're seeing. And we talked about that with Olivia, the kind of dark flowering that's going with like the goth kind of stuff that a lot of the kids were really, you know, grabbing onto, for God's sakes. For Christ's sakes. And a lot the Netflix stuff, can hardly watch it anymore. I can't do that because it's very, very dark. There's an undertone, encryption, and that's what I'm talking about. That phantom kind of thread that's running throughout films and songs and movies and a lot of the spiritual communities right now. Especially they're targeting all the spiritual Facebook groups, a lot of them, and these people that get on YouTube, they're channeling, or they're talking about their new earth communities, or they're using colonic science to kind of take you slightly off course, or the truth to tell lies. So that's what I'm saying is going on right now. But anyway, to kind of wrap this up, because like I said, I'm doing this on my own right now, and I'm trying to get my feedback from Bold and Brave. And I've been trying to flood it with positive stuff. I may end up taking a break. I'm just gonna follow my intuition. But what I'm getting very strongly right now, because it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, I reach out and boom, 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 and I keep doing it. But I want to know, first of all, is this helping? Is this beneficial for you? So if it is, please reach out, www.infinitehuman.com. That's my website, and let me know if it's, because it's a lot of effort right now, and I might just kind of like sign off for a while. But if it is helpful, if it is inspiring, my focus is to inspire you, to stimulate your own thought, to empower you above all. And then the second thing is, if you're interested, okay, I'm, like I said, I'm getting pushed off the internet. I'm looking at creating, my own safe cyber, sacred kind of community, where we can come together, where we can do perhaps a weekly kind of group coaching calls where, we can talk and share about what's going on. This is a stepping stone back to bringing back my school and evolving it from what it used to be, the New Renaissance Film School in Florence, which will also be a physical place. But I also want to gather my tribe, from all corners of the earth. And, this is the best way to do it. Oh, a person is there. Safe YouTube, please. These places are vicious. Yeah. So thank you. So I'm wanting to get off of this and do my own direct videos and I'm looking for the right environment to do it in. And I'm also willing to do what I used to do, rewrite your life story and support you in this, which would be both weekly assignments, which are really fun, where you find these aspects of yourself, and then we get together. I've done it before. I've done it in the physical, and I've done it in cyberspace before. I did it on Facebook, but I was kicked off of that, so it's probably a good thing. So this is thank you. Thank you so much for showing up and telling me that, Joe cool, because it's true. So please keep following me, on, I can't tell you where to follow, about my website, and I have like my WhatsApp, I have my, email's the best way, and if you're interested, I'm going to be offering that. And it's the beginning of the Infinite Human University, all right, for visionaries of and co-creators of the new earth. So I want to, first of all, the first level is to help people from all over the world, young people too, whatever age, to leave behind their old stories, because a lot of times we don't even know it, but we're always shooting ourselves in the foot. We're always sabotaging ourselves. We're feeling unworthy. We're not really showing up with all of us, and we're not feeling abundant, and we're not getting the resources that we need. Yes, I love Jesse, and he was on my show, and I've been on his show, gosh, a lot. I just love him so much. Yeah, he's great. And I'm using StreamYard too, and he uses it. But he's going through the same thing that I'm going through. I think he's on, and I'm also starting to get on Rumble more too. But yeah, I love Jesse and Angeline, beautiful souls. But to get back to what I'm doing, okay, what I'm being guided to do is to kind of move into my own sacred cyberspace, and then in the physical too, return to, I used to do like month-long retreats, like in Florence or different places on the planet. But the point is, first clean yourself up. Clean yourself up. So, because I'd have people come, well, I don't have the money. Well, I don't have the funds. Well, like, if you're not going to be able to be a filmmaker if you can't raise funds. So that's something inside of you. Okay. You have to clean yourself up first. And that's what I found with a lot of the students that came to my school. They had a lot of, you can't be perfect, but the first course is a foundation about, becoming infinite. Stepping into your infinite multidimensional nature and leaving behind your old stories of being a victim, of being, not feeling worthy, of limiting your creativity, and then truly beginning to learn who you are, because you're the most exciting thing on the planet. Everyone's looking outside themselves or following other people, following other shows, following this, following that. And this Infinite Human University is all about you. It's creating the sacred space, a safe, loving, unconditionally loving experience and space and focus for you to find out more about you, and providing you with questions. Not teaching you anything, because you really don't need to learn anything. You just need to remember. You need to remember how amazing you are, how great you are. You need to be able to remember the divine, angelic, infinite human being you are, and to bring that forth. And then to begin to network with other people, because now it's time for us. We've been following like Jesse or me or, other people, and that's wonderful. And I love Jesse because he brings so many people on, but we need to now start coming together and co-creating, learning how to dance, this beautiful dance where none of us, we all have a beautiful note. We all have a unique thumbprint. We all have a unique contribution. We have to learn how to weave it together in this eternal heart song of the universe. And that's how we move beyond story. That's how we move beyond time. That's how we move back into the infinite and flash in and flash out, co-creating with this beautiful dance of creativity, of creation with one another. So we each move so perfectly and intuitively in timing. But first, we have to leave behind the old stories, right? You know what I'm talking about, because we all do it. We get together with others, like all of a sudden, we get our insecurities, our hurts, our blames, all that stuff comes up. So we have to all begin to clear that out. So that's what the plan I'm getting. And I get downloads directly from infinite source. And Peter, who is me, so we're one, but I don't, like tune into any archangels or any, I don't channel or thing like that. So, but when I get something, it's, I'm supposed to do it. So I listen. Thy will. Thy will. I always say I just work here. Thy will. And I think that's the second step, is when you can leave behind your stories, you leave behind, these fragmented, egotistical aspects of yourself that are hurt, that are traumatized, that are angry, that are fearful, and you heal that. And then you begin to tune more and more. You clear the channel, you unblock the hose. You're not stepping on the hose. So you have this direct, fluid connection with infinite God source. And then everyone has it. So it's like you all are listening. You're tuned into the same frequency. You're tuned into the same script, if it's a script, the same song, let's say a song, the same heart song. So you all just know how to write. But the most important thing, though, is to take back the pen, because, and I say this, that we've given our pen to the wrong people, to parasitic entities, to narcissistic people, and they've infiltrated and hacked into our story, and they're starting to write it for us, which is what's also happening on the internet right now. Don't give your power away. I love this person. I love what he's saying. Well, that's good, but take it what resonates and discern. Don't just, I want to follow him, I want to make him, because that's that's where they get you. They want you to buy into the corrupted story of the savior. Someone's going to save you, someone's going to take care of you, someone's going to do it for you. And do we really want that? No. That's what it's all about. Do we want AI to do that? Do we want artificial intelligence to write our books, to create our art, to think our thoughts, to tell us what to do, when to wake up, where to go next, turn right, turn left, you have this meeting at this time. That's where they're going right now. They want artificial intelligence to do everything for you. And what's going to happen, unfortunately, is people won't even know it. They'll be like back asleep in the dream. And one day, well, I don't even think they'll wake up. But what's going to happen is there's a artificial net earth that actually was created during this pandemic, when they had everyone 6 feet apart. There was, everyone's like, oh, this is satanic, all that. No, they wanted to have a clear picture of the earth so they could reconstruct this artificial earth, so everyone will still believe they're on earth doing the same thing, waking up, to their well, probably by then the iPhones will be like inside of you, and connected to a hive mind. Wake up, go to work, buy this, do that. Every minute of your day will be, and your God will be AI, because it'll be who you're connected to, who tells you what to do, who writes your story. So that's a choice. The Fibonacci spiral, I began the story, the old nag, the bad, timeline, the old 3D timeline. So we don't want to do that. I mean, I don't. So if you're interested in doing this course with me, I'm planning on starting it in August. It'll be Sundays at 6 p.m. my time here in Europe. So that'd be 9 a.m. Pacific Coast, California, and then East Coast time, it would be noon. And it's a Sunday, so most people kind of have flexible Sundays. And if you're later than me, it'd be later in the evening. I find that's a good time. It would be a live call like this, but we'd be talking to you. We'd have you on screen and you'd be sharing, and we'd be asking questions and doing art, doing creative, artistic making masks is what I do, writing monologues, doing films, be a little taste of what I do in, the physical world with my students all over the world. It'll be fun, and you'll get little assignments that you can do during the week. Not heavy things, fun things, creative things, artistic things that explore deeper who you are. What's your passion? What do you love to do? What's stopping you from doing that? And I think you'll find, and I've had all kinds of beautiful, beautiful comments about this course, about my work, that it's so freeing. It's the best investment you can make, because it's investing in you, and it's investing time, it's investing money, your energy, it's investing your attention. You're paying your attention to you, not everything outside of you. And when you do that, you come away feeling great, feeling empowered, feeling this just deep connection with yourself and with the oneness of all things. And when you spend all your time scrolling and you feel depleted, you feel drained, you feel fed on, So these are the choices. So if that's something that excites you, thank you so much for dropping in, Joe. I really appreciate your comments. So there's something that you're interested in. It's on my website right now, www.infinitehuman.com. My last blog talks about it. And also my newsletter on Substack. And then you can sign up for it. And the first people that sign up, you get a free PDF of The Infinite Human, which is the book that Peter and I wrote that kind of connects all the dots of what's going on in it. It's the journey of the hero. We'll also be using excerpts from the workbook that goes with it, rewriting your life story to your heroic self. And I'll be like I said, giving you wonderful assignments and sharing with you the wisdom. I have a little bit of wisdom now after all the years I've been doing this. I've been doing it for a long time. So I'm kind of excited to step back into that. So, all right. Well, love you guys very much. And please, I do want to hear from you. Like I said, I'm kind of at a crossroads, and it's not easy to be out there on the internet. And I do think this will pass, but it's just it's like the next thing on their scripted, agenda to get everyone on the internet and then to send out these phantom kind of pulses, So just clear yourself afterwards, and I hope you walk away feeling so fulfilled and really deeply connected. So let's just take a minute, if you can, just take a nice deep breath, breathing I am, and exhaling peace, 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 and breathing in I am, and exhaling love, love, love. And breathing in, I am. And exhaling, infinite source. And just as you exhale on your next breath, breathing in, and just let go of all the crazy stuff outside of there. Let go of all the people that are going through stuff and they're trying to put it on you. Just let it cut it away. Let it just wash away. Just feel this beautiful liquid rainbow plasma just coming in through your crown chakra and bathing your body externally and internally as you wash away all of the gunk that is out there that you're hearing as you're walking, and you're hearing the news things, and you're hearing the rumors, and you're hearing the fears of other people. And, as an empath, you're sensing this fear that's going on. You just let all that go. Let all that stuff go. All these, different opinions. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And just feel that beautiful rainbow plasma moving from your head through your neck down, relaxing your shoulders, through your arms and into your heart space, your throat space, clearing out any of that darkness, any of that miasma, any of that dark encryptions, any of those reversals, just clearing away your heart so it can beat with the rhythm, the eternal rhythm of infinite God source, so you can feel the love of our eternal divine mother coming into your heart. And you can feel that nurturing, that divine eternal mother nurturing that scared, abandoned, fearful, frightened little inner child, a divine inner child of yours. And now feel the beautiful rainbow plasmas just moving through your solar plexus and pushing out all that fear, all those lower frequencies, moving through your intestines, your sexual organs, and pushing out all those miasmas and reversals and implants. And as it moves down your legs, allowing your legs and your fascia to move more freely, so you're able to ground yourself on this beautiful planet and run those frequencies, and picking up some wonderful energy from the center of our earth, feeling that those D12 currents running up with the Nomi seed up into your body, your plasma bodies, your light bodies, your catharic grids, reconnecting your 12 strands of DNA, reopening them, and bringing back health, balance, youth, clarity, and a deep connection with the infinite God source. And above all, feel that love that infinite source has for you, that you have for yourself. And just know that you are one with infinite source, and you are a universe, and you are the most important thing in this universe. Change your life story, and you will change the world. I love you all very, very much. Thank you for tuning in. And please let me know, because, like I said, I'm in a pivotal moment. So if this is helpful, if this is supportive for your ascension journey, please reach out and let me know your thoughts. Okay. And thank you so much for tuning in. Love, 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 love you guys. And ciao for now.